On May 31st, there was some important water news that went under the radar that may impact the safety of drinking water for Californians for years. A Sacramento County court ruled that the maximum contaminant level, or MCL, for hexavalent chromium in drinking water set by the state back in 2014 needed to be tossed. Hexavalent chromium is also known as chromium-6. If that sounds familiar, it's likely thanks to Julia Roberts. Back in 2000, she starred in the movie Erin Brockovich, based on a true story about a massive lawsuit against PG&E, which was contaminating the water supply in the town of Hinckley, California, with chromium-6. Chromium exists naturally in the environment in things like plants, soil, and rocks, and is mostly found either as chromium-6 or chromium-3. Chromium-3 in low doses is good for you. It's considered an essential dietary element according to the EPA. It can support a healthy metabolism and effective insulin regulation. Chromium-6 exists naturally too, but it can also be produced from industrial operations. In either case, chromium-6 is considered a known carcinogen that can be dangerous to your health even in small amounts. Studies done by the National Toxicology Program have found that it causes cancer in laboratory animals following oral ingestion, so there are obviously concerns about what happens when it gets in your drinking water. This prompted California to research the health risks and ultimately, in 2014, to set the maximum contaminant level for chromium-6 at 10 parts per billion. This move was groundbreaking because California has been the only state to set a regulation for just chromium-6. California and other states have a regulation for total chromium, which contains both chromium-3 and chromium-6, and that level is much higher. California's total chromium maximum is 50 parts per billion, and the EPA's regulation is even higher at 100 parts per billion. The higher the number, the less protective the regulation. Which brings us back to the judge's ruling in May. The ruling was prompted by a lawsuit by the Solano County Taxpayers Association and the California Manufacturers and Technology Association, which represents a lot of big industry groups. The judge ruled that the agency responsible for setting the MCL, which at the time was the California Department of Public Health, failed to properly consider the economic feasibility of complying with the regulation. In other words, how much this might cost water systems to meet the health requirement. The State Water Resources Control Board, which is the agency that is now in charge of setting regulations for drinking water, said the ruling didn't say the regulation was wrong, only that the process wasn't adequate to address the economic feasibility. A process error, they called it. It sounds a little like a technicality, but it's a really big one. The Water Board has begun the process of redoing all the steps needed to reestablish an MCL for chromium-6, which involves a lot of public meetings, and it's likely to take anywhere from 18 to 24 months. In the meantime, water systems that know they have levels of chromium-6 above what the MCL was no longer have to follow the regulation if they don't want to. There are currently about 100 public water systems, impacting nearly 1 million people, that tested over the maximum contaminant level for chromium-6 and have a compliance plan in place to try to clean up the water. And there are another 230,000 people that get water from a public water system that's also out of compliance and doesn't have a plan to fix it yet. Under the new ruling, those water systems no longer have to follow the regulation or to try to meet compliance. The Water Board said it's too soon to tell which water suppliers will keep following the rule and which won't.